Good morning. Welcome to Lifespring. As y'all start coming in and getting a seat, you can see that we've switched things up just a little bit today. So we've got plenty of space here in the front because Nate's planning on breaking it down for us at some point in time during the service. He doesn't know that. He just learned that himself. So we got all this space. We got to do something with it. And also, I want to let you know that we've had some technical difficulties this morning. So the two screens to my left and my right are not working today, so we have the screen over here. So we've got a lot of chairs over here, so y'all can look straight that way. And everybody here, if you want to turn your chairs, you can, or you can just turn your neck or your body. It's whatever you need to do to see that screen. It'd be good. So just bear with us today, and hopefully you can see it okay. And it's a little out of alignment, but the songs are familiar, so you should know them fairly well. You can at least hum along. So I guess we're going to go ahead and shoot our video, and we'll get started with worship.
Hey, I'm Jacob, and welcome to Lifespring. Thanks so much for being here today. If you are new here, we want you to feel right at home. We will be together for right in about an hour, listening to an awesome message and great worship. If you have kids with you, we want to let you know that we have a fantastic kids program available for all ages. There's still time to check them in. Just head to the TV in our welcome area, and you can do so there. Around here, family matters, and we're willing to reach yours whatever it takes. We are about to show you a few ways this happens, and then get started with worship very soon.
For our October sermon series, Game On, we are asking everyone to donate socks and personal hygiene items. Also, on Sunday, October 14th, represent your favorite team jerseys of any sport. On Sunday, the 21st, we are having a tailgate party with a food truck and tons of fun right after service. On Sunday, October 28th, we will wrap up the series with our rivalry week and see which fans, Clemson or Gamecocks, donated the most items. Go Gamecocks! We want to continue meeting the needs in our community and are pumped to announce our new partnership with the Meals on Wheels program. They need our help the 3rd and 5th Friday of each month to distribute lunchtime meals in our area. Please see Pastor Nate to get involved.
There are so many more great things coming up, so be sure to check out lifespringsc.org and our Facebook page as well. If you are new with us today, we would like for you to fill out one of the white Connect cards and turn them into the VIP box in the back. You will get a free gift and a call from Pastor Nate, and some of our team leaders will be reaching out to you as well. At this time, please stand and worship with us.
2 Corinthians 12:9 says, "My grace is sufficient for you. Power is perfected in weakness." His grace is sufficient for me. His grace is sufficient for you, and we're going to sing about that now. This is an old favorite. Your grace is enough.
So
us the truth this morning. I hope you believe it. I hope you claim that truth. Not only is God's grace enough, not only is it sufficient, not only is His our weakness, His power perfected in our weakness, He is also unstoppable. Let's sing about that now.
Before we continue with worship, I wanted to share the main idea of today's message with you guys. We're going through our current series called Game On, and today's big idea is this: commit to making God and His church your foundation. So as you guys are thinking about that, take a few minutes and greet a person you don't know, shake a hand, hug a neck. You know the drill.
sleeve shirts out of your short sleeves. It's always good to me.
I gotta keep an eye on some dress.
There you go. I was gonna say we'll do it. We'll do it.
Everybody wants to start making their way back to their seats at this time, please. Go ahead, hit the lights and watch this next video.
Like we both saw.
Oh, I could. Well, maybe just a bite.
Don't forget the interest.
So on that note, we're going to take a golf right now. So if you guys would grab the baskets at the end of the rows and pass them down. If you cannot give today, but you still want to, you can give online or in the box in the wall, not in the wall, on the wall in the back. Or you can set up recurring gifts, and you can also download our app. That's more convenient for you guys. So as we continue to worship, if you guys would stand, I wanted to go ahead and just mention a little bit about this song. If you haven't heard it, it's called Hills and Valleys. We like to do this one a lot here. And I think we like to do it a lot just because it's very relatable for everybody. I think we can all think back in our lives to a time when we've been on a hill, on the very, very top of a mountain, or we've been in the very bottom of a valley in a pit. And both of those have different, very, very, very different feelings and set of emotions that go with them. But the good news is that no matter if the situation you're looking at today, if you feel like you're on a hill or you feel like you're in a valley, God's still there. No matter if you're on a hill or if you're in a valley. And He, in fact, put you on the hill and He's with you in the valley. And God's grace is sufficient through both of those times. And sometimes it feels like it's just sufficient for the hills, and that His grace is only there when we're in those happy times in our life. But it's actually the opposite. I mean, His grace is there in the mountains, but it's even more so there for us when we feel like we're in a valley. So as we sing this song, just be thinking about that, and wherever you're at in your life, just know that God's grace is there with you. your grace can be seen in both triumph and tragedy. Sing this out. I have this hope in the depth of my soul. In the flood or the fire, you're with me and you won't let go. But sometimes my faith feels thin, and like the night will never end. Will you catch every tear, or will you just leave me here? I have this hope in the depth of my soul. In the flood or the fire, you're with me and you won't let go. Yeah, I have this hope in the depth of my soul. In the flood or the fire, you're with me and you won't let go. Whatever happens, I will not be afraid. 'Cause you are closer than this breath that I take. Oh, you calm the storms when I hear you call my name. I still believe that one day I'll see your face. I have this hope in the depth of my soul. In the flood or the fire, you're with me. I have this hope in the depth of my soul. In the flood or the fire, you're with me and you won't let go. In the flood or the fire, you're with me and you won't let go. In the flood or the fire, you're with me and you won't let go.
God, we just thank you so much for this day. Lord, we have learned so much about you in this few minutes that we have spent together this morning. We've learned that your grace is sufficient. Lord, that it has nothing to do with us and our abilities. It has everything to do with you and your love and your compassion and your mercy. We have learned that you are unstoppable. Lord, we have learned that you are with us when we're on the hilltop and when we're in the valley. God, we have learned that you are our hope. God, you are the one thing that keeps us getting up every single morning and saying, I can do this again. Lord, you don't want us just to settle for what we can just get by with. God, you want us to just thrive in life. You don't want us just to be stuck in routine, to be stuck in the rut of everyday life. You don't want us to have that attitude of, I'm just barely making it, I don't know how much longer I can go. God, you have provided a way for us to live this life to the fullest. I pray, God, that you would show us how to do that you would teach us. Lord, be with Pastor Nate as he brings the word this morning. Be with every heart and mind in here. Lord, help us just to hear what you have for us today. And we love you so much. In Jesus' name, amen.
Go ahead and have a seat, man. Good stuff. Kids, you are dismissed. Y'all go ahead back to the door. Gosh, how about that, man? That's just powerful. Aren't you glad that no matter what our schedules are like, no matter what technical difficulties we may have, No matter what stresses we may face, God is always here. Bulbs may go out, but God never does. Amen? That's your sermon today. Have a great day. No, I'm just kidding. But it's just so good to be in the house of the Lord and to see what He's doing and what He's continuing to do. We want to continue our series of Game On. This has been a cool month for me. I'm a sports fan. I know not everybody's crazy about sports, but I enjoy them so much. And it really is awesome. I'm not just saying this. I wouldn't just say it to say it. But it's awesome how, like, when you kind of get into the nitty-gritty kind of details of certain sports and certain things, how things are parallel sometimes. Like, you can take concepts of a team that we're going to talk about today and apply those to us as a church. And like last week, the communication, and hopefully we're hearing from God. Hopefully we know His voice and we know when He's leading us or guiding us, unlike those crazy, coach calls and stuff that sounds like gibberish sometimes. I hope that we know for a fact when God is speaking. And we're doing some neat things for the month. I hate to call people out in church, but I'm about to. If you claim to be a Clemson Tiger fan and love Jesus, we need us to step up a little bit, okay? If you notice our tables out in the foyer area, now I do know we're outnumbered. There's a lot of South Carolina Gamecock fans up in here, which is great. But if you're a fan of neither one, we're still asking everybody to bring personal hygiene items and socks. As you heard in our video, I just want to reiterate that. Please, please, please donate those items. The many ministries that we partner with, that was the common thing that they all shared with us that they could really use this fall. And so we're wanting to load both of those tables up in our welcome area with personal hygiene items and socks. As well as today, and this is actually going to go with the sermon, we're going to tailgate. We're going to enjoy lunch together. Hopefully you're able to stay afterwards for a bite to eat. I found out some information today. I didn't want to give false info. Have you ever had somebody tell you something and you're like, that ain't even true? No way. Anybody ever had that happen? Does Al ever tell you something that's not true? No, because he just repeats what you say. That's right. That's good. He knows better. So here's the thing. I went to the source of who I feel like would know this the best, and in our traditional service, 9:30, I asked that service, how much is a meat and two sides at Wade's with a dessert? Consensus was over $7. So today's lunch is only $7 a person for all ages, and you get a chicken, two sides, a dessert. We're providing you drinks. You cannot go to Wendy's, and now I know you cannot go to Wade's for that price. So hopefully you can stay afterwards and eat. And we're actually going to talk about our sermon about why it's important to congregate and to get to know each other and have some fun together. Amen? Amen. All right, so let me ask you guys this question. First of all, and this is where you can talk back to me. I know some of you like to do that. Some of you don't. That's okay. But I'm going to ask a question, and we're going to literally have you answer this. What was or is your favorite subject in school? And youth, or Justin, you can't answer because you were here Wednesday night. But what is or was your favorite subject in school? Somebody.
Art.
PE, art.
English. History.
I get that. English, history. Recess, amen. That was my first answer, was lunch, actually. Recess, PE. Miss Margaret Beatty, who's one of our dear saints in first service, said 2:30 when I got to leave. Amen, right? So PE, lunch, English, history, all that's why you're sitting by yourself, Kelly, because no one else likes history. That's crazy. No, I'm just kidding. But all these subjects, you know what's interesting, and we're going to talk about this today. I challenged our youth group with this on Wednesday night, and I want this to carry over today. But I noticed that no one said the word chemistry. And I have a feeling, and no one did in first service either, and no one did at youth group either, and no one in the entire world has ever said that either that I've ever encountered. Chemistry does not tend to be a subject that we get fired up about. Amen? Amen. But here's the thing. Chemistry can be a good thing, right? Especially when it comes to sports, especially when it comes to God's church. To have a good chemistry. If you have a significant other, you've built a chemistry with each other, you built a family around that, and we want to look at what that means and what that entails. I love to kind of give a quick recap as well. 2 weeks ago was one of my favorite sermons ever for me personally that I got to share because the concept just resonated so well with me. And it was interesting because the big idea was make the tackle. And if you weren't here, watch it on YouTube because I don't want you to just run around town hitting people, okay? But here's the thing. To make the tackle, we talked about a guy back in 1954 that was in a football game that plays on offense that was sitting on the bench on the sideline while the defense was on the field and ran out and made a tackle. Now, if you know sports at all, you know that's not legal. That's not right. But his interview afterwards, when I did the research on that game, one of the craziest plays ever in the history of college football and the history of sports, when they asked him afterwards, man, you play on offense? What made you get up off that bench in the middle of a play and run out there and make that tackle? And he played for the Crimson Tide. He said, man, I have too much Bama in me to watch them score again, because they were scoring and scoring and scoring. Church, do we have enough purpose in us? Do we have enough Jesus in us to where we have to get out there and make the play? We have to get out there in life and be who God has called us to be. I'm here to tell you, you have way too much purpose. You have way too much Jesus. You have way too much calling on your life once you accept Christ to just sit back and watch life happen. He wants you to be in the middle of it, doing what you can do. Now, last week, I'm going to be super real, okay, and super honest. It was kind of a blur for me. At about 9:25 a.m., I had to pray this prayer. Now, every week, your pastor prays this prayer anyways, where I say, God, get me out of the way. Move me. You know, it's not Nate today talking, it's you talking. Move me out of the way. Last Sunday at 9:25, right before first service, I had to pray a prayer I've never prayed in the history of speaking, teaching, preaching, anything. And I said, Lord, don't move me to have to leave in the middle of preaching to run to the back, okay? I got hit hard with a stomach bug, man, right in the morning of. But I do remember some of last week's service. And I remember this, man. And for those of you that stayed after for the pastor appreciation lunch, thank you so much. I was not able to partake and enjoy it the way I wanted to. I apologize for that, but it was so sweet. But in the midst of that service, in the midst of that sermon, I remember talking about, here's the thing, man. When God calls us to do something, He's going to give us that voice, that feeling, that initial oomph, that push to get out there and do what He's calling us to do. And are we hearing that? Are we willing to get out there and be that? So, how many of you have read the scriptures or heard the phrase, iron sharpens iron? Everybody believe that? Man, I believe that to be true. I hope you have good people in your life. And we're going to talk a little bit today about what's that mean. How do we take the fact that we have too much purpose in us? How do we take the fact that God's voice, as we talked about last week, is calling us to get out there and be the men, the women, the church that He's called us to be? And what's another way that can equip us to do that? We're going to open up in a story that's probably very familiar. You could all probably stand up and sing the song if I asked you to. I'm not going to, but if you feel led to, you can. But it's Luke chapter 19, verses 1 through 10. And here's what it says. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. Everybody say, what up, Zach? He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was short, anybody short in the house, say amen? All right. He could not see over the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed up a sycamore fig tree. Some of you are like, oh, I know the song he's talking about now. I get it. Sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up, and we're going to stop right there for a second. Here's the thing. We have been talking, preaching, praying, Bible studying. We have been hitting very close to home, very, very clearly, that we are called to get out there and be the hands and feet of Jesus outside of this place. And so I want us to not forget that concept and look at what Jesus did in His life, but to also, in order to equip us, in order to strengthen us to do that, it also requires us getting out there with each other. It also requires us being a team, a church, to get to know each other, to trust each other, all these things we're going to talk about today. But here's an interesting story that I want us to take a couple things with us as we begin that story. Number one, Zacchaeus ran up into that tree, and as Jesus is moving through, he did something that is so profound and so true that we all need to understand this, is that Jesus sought after people. Man, He searched for them. He went for them. He could have easily seen this dude up in a tree as he's walking through the town. I'm sure he had a crowd of people, all these things, and could have easily said, hey, good seeing you, buddy, and kept going. What Jesus did in this story, which He's done for every single one of us in this room, and He will continue to do, is He seeks after us. He chooses us. He wants to come and have a relationship with us and us to connect with Him, which we're going to talk about as well. But here's the thing. I want you to look at someone around you and say, hey, Jesus chose me. Man, that is crazy to think about. Out of all the people on this planet, Jesus has chosen you to have a relationship with him. He wants you